Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Friday. I hope all of you are doing good. Sorry for the late start tonight, but shout out to all of you who are hanging out on this Friday night, and big shout out to all of you who watch this on replay. So, look at the title of this video: Dire National Threat Warning. And are you prepared? And what's the reason for the Second Amendment? We're going to talk about that tonight, and there's some imminent threats going on in this country, in the United States of America, and throughout the whole world. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to talk about the USA, or the country formerly known as the USA, or wherever it is that we're at right now. We've talked about this topic many times in the past. And if you're new here, check out all the past live streams and videos, and welcome. Good to see new people here every week. So there was recently a National Sheriff's Convention. Happened a little over a week and a half ago now. And I'm going to actually do something a little bit different tonight. I'm going to share a couple of videos that have been put out by some county sheriffs. So you don't have to just take my word for it. You can listen to what they're saying and what they're warning people of in their hometowns and in their communities. And it's pretty obvious by now, unless you have just your head in the sand or don't know what's going on. But a lot of people have been prepared for a long time. But if you're not prepared to protect yourself, it's probably time to get prepared and to be ready to be able to defend yourself. Because this nation's under attack, big time. And it's multidimensional, unfortunately. You know, the Second Amendment is there for many reasons. But I would say the number one reason why. See, they wrote it in 1789, and it became part of the bona fide law when the Second Amendment was ratified in 1791. Well, it's pretty obvious what it means, because the Second Amendment is so beautiful. The Founding Fathers literally told you why. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And this country's under attack from enemies both foreign and domestic. It becomes blatantly obvious every day that in many states, and especially on the national level, that your government hates you and that your government's not here to keep you safe. It seems like one of the main purposes of government nowadays, especially when you look at the current former vice president's administration, is to make you less safe and to attack your liberties and to attack your rights. These are your natural rights. As Thomas Jefferson wrote in 1776, all men are created equal, and they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are the laws of nature, of nature's God, and the only reason the government is supposed to be allowed to exist at all is to protect your natural rights that were not granted by government, not bestowed upon you as a favor from people sitting high on Capitol Hill. No. These are rights that pre-exist the United States of America. And these are rights that will live on past the United States of America. And these rights supersede any country, any boundaries. And these rights are inherent and they belong to you. However, we have a government right now, as we speak, in the state of Michigan, in the United States of America, that's trying to put hurdles. And they're trying to criminalize you for being able to protect yourself. Look, you can go out in nature. And I don't recommend that you do this because nature's a beautiful thing. But if you try to disturb a wild animal, if you try to disturb a nest or a den or a lair, you're going to get attacked. See, an animal knows that it has the right to defend itself with any force necessary. And the Founding Fathers of the United States of America knew that you too have the right to defend yourself with force, with arms, with a gun, with battleships, with grenades, with launchers, with fighter jets. The right to keep and bear arms, all arms, shall not be infringed. But as they're opening the southern border, and the northern border too, we're finding out, people don't think about it, but we have a huge northern border in the United States as well that's being left open, where dereliction of duty is running rampant and seems to be the norm right now, not the exception. We're under attack and people are pouring through, not people seeking true asylum, not people that are coming in to immigrate the proper way, which there's many, many people that are doing that. Many, many fine people have immigrated to the United States the proper legal way. People who do want to be true Americans, and there's probably some awesome first generation, second, third generation immigrants in this chat. Some of them I know personally and are very good friends of mine. Family members of mine are first generation immigrants, actually. But that's not what we're talking about right now. So let's say that right off the bat. We're talking about the ones that are invading. See, these countries in most cases are not sending their best. And in some cases, they actually are sending their best, meaning it's been widely reported now there's sleeper cells throughout the United States. There's safe houses, as we're going to hear one of the sheriffs talking about in a little bit, for places like China. See, we're not talking about just Mexicans coming in from Mexico, which is what a lot of people falsely believe. No, we're talking about people coming in from all across the world in large numbers, by the hundreds of thousands, which are quickly adding up to millions and millions. These are military age, fighting age men. They're coming over bearing bags. They're bringing things in. Often, they go undetected, unsearched. They run. They're told to come back with a court date in years from now, if you know what I mean. We have states like Texas and many other states that are trying to reinforce the barbed wire at the border. Meanwhile, we have the federal government going in there and tearing it down and ripping holes in it to try to not only allow, but to invite foreign invaders into the United States of America. Now, that sounds like a pretty big threat, but unfortunately, it's not that simple. Because we also have the American people and our natural God-given rights under attack more and more. See, simultaneously at the same time, they're trying to flood our country with illegals. These are illegals. There's many politically correct phrases for this, but let's call it what it is. People violating federal law. But look, just like with the new Michigan gun control laws and all these ATF rules and all of these border laws, these laws only affect the law-abiding, obviously. So as all of these criminals who have no respect for the law, no regard for the law, come in, aided and abetted by the government. I just said criminals. I just said the government. I just heard someone, they're like, dude, why did you repeat yourself? I know, I get it, trust me. But as they're coming in, they're trying to strip away your natural right to keep and bear arms. FFL revocations are at an all-time record. They're trying to make it where everybody has to become an FFL to be able to transfer their lawfully owned property. We've talked about that recently on this channel. Reconcile that. In a time where they're trying to make a new rule that would have full force and effective law. Actually, according to recent court testimony, the ATF says their rules have more force and effect than law. They've even said they can't even be sued on some of their rules. If you're new here, go back and watch my previous live streams. We've talked in great detail on this. So as they're sitting there, aiding and abetting, they're coming through with rules that are diminishing your ability to be able to exercise your natural rights due to lack of foreign diplomacy, due to us being world's policemen, due to things like, just think about this for a minute. We send money to Israel to go after Gaza. All right, I'm not going to get into an Israel-Gaza debate because I actually don't need to, because it's this messed up. We send money and we send guns and we send warheads and we send musicians to Israel. And then we also send them to Gaza, even though they're fighting each other. So you sit there and think to yourself, well, what side is the United States of America on? I don't know. And they're probably on everybody's side at this point, except for you, actually. And it's pretty darn obvious, as they're trying to restrict, as they're trying to ban, as they're trying to make rules. In Michigan, we just had 4 doozies, major gun control bills that went into effect just 3 days ago. And we see this throughout the country so much. Wow, we need to exercise our right to keep and bear arms more than we ever have before. So I'm going to show you guys a couple clips here, a couple videos, and we're going to talk about these. And the topic is just, first of all, you have to understand what's going on. That's the main topic tonight. You have to realize we're literally in a culture war. You live in a massive land called the United States of America. If you wanted to say formerly the United States of America, but hopefully we can get it back, I would think that'd be a fair way to say it too. But we're in a culture war of people who love this experiment on self-governance, where people have natural rights And the government only exists to protect and defend your rights versus the other side. And I like to use the phrase the other side because there's not just one thing to call them. Now, there is one thing to call them, and it's called evil. But it's people on both sides of the political aisle, unfortunately. It's the businesses. It's the oligarchies. It's Bolsheviks. It's communism. And we saw it take root in Russia in 1917. And it's never gone away, unfortunately. And we are in a culture where right now of people who want to destroy America, every last bit of it, completely run it into the ground, and make it not one of the best countries to live in, but one of the worst countries to live in. And if we keep going down the path we're in right now, doesn't seem too far-fetched, does it? Versus people who just want to be left alone. People who just want to live their life and pray to God, spend time with their family, their friends, shoot their guns. Other than that, just leave me the heck alone. Look, you work your butt off because you're taxed to no end, and then you die. And that's how life works, essentially. So it's about making the best of it that you can. And everyone just wants everybody to leave them alone. And I want people to leave me alone, and so do you. But you should be prepared. And there's some dire warnings right now going on all over the country, locally to me here, and locally to you. Because every state right now is a border state. They ship them around. They bus them around. They fly them around. All on your dime. You didn't have time to go to Lansing, Michigan if you lived there. Or you didn't have time to go to your various state capitals when there were thousands of people on the other side protesting to take your guns away. You couldn't go there. You know why? Because you had to go to work. Why did you have to go to work? Well, a large portion of why you go to work is to pay taxes. You're funding flying these people all over the country. You're funding all of these people, busing them all over the place. There is not one state in this union right now who's not a border state. In fact, you live in a conservative area, you live in a rural area, they're actually busing and shipping more of them in to your areas. This is not a coincidence. This is, in my opinion, and many smart people's opinion, completely and utterly by design. If you're paying attention and you know what's going on, there isn't anywhere in any of your hometowns where you can't see a bus full of people in a parking lot somewhere lately. Like, I've literally seen it in my small hometown, and I live in a very, very small town. And my wife was talking about how she saw a whole bus of them coming in. My mom was talking about how she saw them. So to sit there and say that, oh, nothing could ever happen here, might be a bit naive. And what are you guys going to do about it? Well, what I would suggest, and what these sheriffs that I'm about to play for you suggest, is that you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared for physical attacks. You need to be prepared for power outages, cyber attacks. Look, cyber attack is huge, like way bigger than you might have thought. You need to be prepared for food, water. You need to be prepared for communication. So many things. And this ties into the Second Amendment like more than anything does. It doesn't say that everybody having an iPhone or an Android phone being necessary to the security of a free state, does it? No. Although that's most people's top priorities, actually. It doesn't say a Super Bowl game. What do you guys think about that relationship? Is that fake or rigged? They call it Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. What a beautiful relationship. I wonder how much they're getting paid for that act. That's just my opinion. But look, it doesn't say a super duper celebrity adorned Super Bowl being necessary to the security of a free state, does it? No. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And for a long time in this country, people said, well, yeah, but the Second Amendment, it's always going to be there. This is always going to be the United States. Who's playing in the Super Bowl? See, think about that. Way back in the day, Joe Namath is in the Super Bowl. Great. He's doing an underwear commercial. Great. But while all that was going on, the dog and pony shows, the pomp and circumstance, the Gun Control Act of 1968 had passed, and apparently most of the American people were okay with that. The greatest generation went off and fought World War II. And when they came home, they didn't even think about, or there was no movement anyways of any consequence, to repeal the National Firearms Act of 1934. Think about all that. Think about all the brawny young lads, all the tough guys that came back from World War II. And those people were tough, and I'm not taking anything away from the heroism that a lot of them deserve, but they could go over there. They could storm the beaches of Normandy, France, but in their own backyard, the right to keep and bear arms was being infringed. People taking oaths to the Constitution to defend against enemies, foreign and domestic, and we've always been quick to defend when it's foreign. Not in my backyard. That's on the other side of the fence. Just throw your dog crap into the neighbor's yard. It's okay. You don't have to see it anymore. Meanwhile, not noticing right behind you that there's stuff going on in your own country. We've had a long train of abuses and usurpations in the United States of America. We're no longer capable of being the well-regulated militia that the founding fathers had said was necessary. We can't own most of the firearms legally unless you have lots and lots of money and are willing to buy tax stamps and all these crazy unconstitutional things. You can't be armed the way that foreign combatants can be armed. You can't be armed the way a criminal is armed, because a criminal can buy whatever they want as long as they're not worried about the law. People who come in here legally by sheer nature are not too concerned with following the law. But here we are. I'm going to show some clips here, and I want to talk about them and think about them from a couple different county sheriffs, because this is not just like some hypothetical thing. We have a greater threat right now for domestic attack and terror in this country than we did in 9/11. And this is actually coming from the FBI. And if the FBI will tell you that, you're probably only hearing 1/10 or 1/100th or 1/1000th of what's actually going on. So before we get into that, I want to thank all of you for the many ways you help support this channel. All of you who are channel members here on YouTube, support on Patreon, support on Locals. Locals is a censorship-free site. The link's right down there in the description. I do bonus content, including an extra weekly live stream where we touch guns and do all kinds of cool stuff. All of the supporters recently got to see a new bonus video. So hopefully all of you who have either paid for a channel membership or were gifted one recently, there's a new behind-the-scenes video that I think is actually pretty cool. It's totally fun. Has nothing to do with guns. It's totally low-key, but hopefully you guys go and watch that members-only video there. And those of you who leave generous super chats, I really appreciate it. You guys help keep this channel going, and I really appreciate all the ways you guys support. Again, I was a little bit late tonight because I was down in Newport, Michigan, with State Representative Jamie Thompson and Mackenzie, who's a local gun shop owner in Newport. And we did a couple videos about some of the new Michigan gun control laws. So all my Michigan people, stay tuned to this channel because we recorded 2 videos today. I'm going to try to get one up this weekend and then one mid next week so you guys can see some of the ramifications and kind of almost hidden parts of these Michigan gun control bills that are going to make it a lot more cumbersome for you to buy a gun in the state of Michigan. Right at the same exact time that we're getting warnings of you guys better be ready and better be prepared to defend yourself. Kind of crazy, isn't it? Also, speaking of being prepared, I want to give a big shout out to RPM, Rockville Precision Munitions. When this stream's over, I'm going to have an additional post with more information on them on my locals community. We're going to share that if you guys want more info, because when I think about things like having a go bag, and being ready, and there's a million things that it takes to be self-sufficient, prepared to defend yourself against potential invaders, enemies. Of course, guns and ammunition comes right up there. Tons of more information on all that stuff over there on my locals community. So I'm going to read a couple of these super chats that came in right off the bat, which I really appreciate. And then stay tuned here. I'm going to play a couple clips that are like completely startling. And I would have gone and bought 10 things of tin foil probably even 10 years ago. Nowadays, though, I don't question it a bit. And I've been having conversations with people that I can't even share here tonight. And pretty darn sure all of this stuff's true. In fact, confirmed that there's some imminent threats, dire threats, actually, warnings. Boom Boom 2A with the super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. And the channel member, I know you support on locals as well. He says, thank you for what you do. Well, you're welcome, man. And again, sorry for the late start tonight, guys. It's because I was fighting for the Second Amendment locally in my hometown. Just trying to get information out there to people and get people together to talk about the Second Amendment, because I believe it's very, very important. I want all of you guys doing as much as you can wherever you're at too. And have fun doing it. Great conversations. Hung out with totally awesome people today. So get out there and get involved, guys, and you'll have some fun as well. JJ Rainey with the super chat. Thanks, JJ. And a channel member, local supporter, Michigan man. How you doing? He says, it's we the people, not we the government. Dude, I completely agree. Obviously, to people like me and you, but make sure you're talking to your friends and family and neighbors. I met a guy today at Supermatch, watches the channel. He might be watching right now. I don't like to give out people's first names because of privacy, but he's a truck driver. He grabbed a stack of brochures of the mailers for Jamie Thompson, her Second Amendment message one, and said, you know where these are going? Right by the time clock at the local trucking company I work for. So shout out to all the truck drivers out there, and this is how we build culture, guys. So keep up the good fight, JJ. I know you're on the right side of this, man. Ron Stacy with the super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. Speaking of good Michigan people in the good fight, look at him there with his son. I've seen him and his son at these events, rallies, walking the walk, and nice to see you guys here. He says, thank you for everything you do to keep us up to date on the latest issues. And I hate having to give you guys updates on crappy latest issues, but I'm going to do the best I can because, hey, look, guys, we have to stand together, and we're going to most certainly hang separately, right? Just knowing guys like you and so many other people, they'll have my back. That's why I'm still here, man. That's why I'm still here. I don't call on people much, but if I needed you guys, I know there's lots of good people around here. R.I.P. Dango sitting in the chat. See? Hello, everyone. Thanks for the show. No problem, man. No problem. Jessica Messer, what's happening? Smash that like button. Man, here he is right here. C. Meyer. There he is, see? I like to be on the down low because some people are kind of... But there he is right there. Look at him. He's a biker. He's a trucker. Just look at that guy's avatar. America, right? Awesome, man. It was awesome seeing you today, dude. All right. I'm going to share this tab here. This is coming from a sheriff in Ohio. I think I saw out of the corner of my eye, somebody said, Ohio in the house. So our sister state, our neighbor state to the south. My daughter was born in Ohio, actually. So Ohio holds a very special place in my heart. And yeah, man, what's happening, Jeff? No problem, dude. Nice to see you, man. So many good people, more of you than me. I catch up on the chat throughout the weekend. So if you guys are leaving me chats, I read them all later. Don't think you wasted your time. I definitely read them, and you're not wasting your time. I'm here because you guys are here. All right, let's figure out how to use this goofy program. This comes out of Butler County, Ohio. Any of you guys familiar with this? All right, Joseph Paul. You guys can talk to Joseph in the chat. See, I told you, we always have some kind of like expert in the chat here. He says my county right there in the chat. Look him up. Shout out to our guy, Joseph Paul from Butler County. And Pillbox Bunker, I got you, man. There's a video from Sheriff Murphy as well. Actually, I'm going to switch it up. Let's do the Sheriff Murphy video first because it's shorter. So my friend Rob from 2A Patriot, he's a good friend of mine, sent me a text message and shared this to me. And I'll admit, guys, I saw it right away. I'm like, okay, I guess, and stuff. Like, you know, I knew it was serious because he sent it to me, but it took me like a day or two to watch it. And I'm like, Then I see this video from Butler County. Then I just talked to a good friend today who had talked to their county sheriff. And they're like, yeah, dude, like, what that Butler County sheriff said, that's not hyperbole. That's not the sky's falling. Like, this is actually like real. And this is a good friend of mine that I totally trust that had talked to their local county sheriff. And then there's this county sheriff. Like, I'm serious, guys. Talk amongst the chat. And I can do some standalone videos like, what's in your go bag? We're literally going to hear a county sheriff saying that his deputies are getting go bags together. Like, this is the kind of stuff you guys need to think about. What are you going to need to defend yourself? We're going to think about foreign invaders that are literally could go door to door. Look how they did in Israel, beheadings, things like that. You actually have to think about that nowadays. I don't want to think about that, but I care about you guys, and I care about my hometown and my state and my country. And you actually have to think about that. You have to think about cyber attacks. You have to think about power outages. You have to think about infrastructure getting attacked. So like that's literally the stuff, and that's the goal tonight, is for us just to think about this stuff so you guys can be prepared. We literally have to, like, I'm like the most peaceful, chill person ever. I hate even thinking about this stuff, but this is Sheriff Mike Murphy. Okay. Red flag laws have passed in Michigan. This is one of the sheriffs that spoke out and said he will not enforce red flag laws. He's the Livingston County Sheriff. That's a county very close to where I'm at right now. I'm all over the place in Michigan. I was down in Monroe County earlier. I'm in another county right now. Livingston County's over there. Yeah. This is a guy that's like pretty hard-nosed 2A. He will not be enforcing red flag laws that have passed in Michigan. He said he will not do it, just to give you guys a little perspective who we're looking at. But let's listen to Sheriff Murphy here. And let me get this here. I have to click one button. I'm sorry, guys. I know the Second Amendment well. I know what's going on. I know how to hang out, but I'm not the best technologically. Okay, also share tab audio. Let's pull it back up. All right, let's listen to Sheriff Murphy. It's only about 5 minutes. We're going to talk about this for a minute.
Hey, everybody. Livingston County Sheriff Mike Murphy here. I just want to take a moment and address the press conference that Sheriff Jones down in Butler County, Ohio, had last week. He had just come from the National Sheriff's Association conference in Washington, D.C. Although I was not at that conference, I have spoken to a couple of the Michigan sheriffs that were. And what he said is absolutely accurate. There is a imminent threat. The problem is we just don't know when that is. So it does not take a crystal ball or Nostradamus to say that we are going to have another terrorist attack. That's going to happen. We live in a very different world. And, not to get too deep into weeds, but you can't let 2.5 million people a year across the border and think that they're all coming here to help us.
2.5 million people on the border per year. Are they all coming to help us? What do you guys think about that? And by the way, he says the sheriff for Butler County. We're going to watch that video in just a minute. So
that aside, we also have our own homegrown terrorists. There are people in our country that want to do us harm. They're just evil people. It's just that simple. After COVID, I think everybody was waiting for the world to get back to quote unquote normal, myself included. This is it, folks. I hate to say it. This is our new normal. People are angry. People are quick to go from zero to way, way, way upset and physical in about a millisecond, which, never happened before. So on all levels. So I would just say this, from the Livingston County residents' perspective, I would just ask you to be prepared. What does that mean? I don't know what that means for you. Everybody's got a different family situation. However, you need to be able to be self-sufficient for a couple weeks. Make sure you've got some food stacked up, some water. You can Google, emergency preparedness and go from there and do whatever you think is.
Would you guys benefit on this channel if I talk about some of that stuff, like what's in my bag? What do I carry with me in my vehicles? What do I keep at the house? Because I've never talked about it much on here, but I do think about those things, and I do have preps. So let me know in the chat.
Is necessary for your family. Now, all of that said, I will say this. Do we know that there's a terrorist attack that's going to hit a big city? No. Do we know that there's a terrorist attack that's going to hit a little city? No. Do we know that there's a terrorist attack that's going to be coordinated and hit multiple jurisdictions? No. But let me say this. We are very, very fortunate in this county because and I normally don't speak for other agencies, only speak for the sheriff's office, but I will. I'm going to speak for all emergency services in Livingston County, 911, fire, the local police jurisdictions, the state police, the sheriff's office, EMS, fire, all emergency services. We work extremely well together. We're a bit of an anomaly when it comes to that. We have one central dispatch that keeps track of all of us. We train together. And some of the things that Sheriff, Sheriff Jones mentioned about, arming up his deputies and buying equipment and stuff, we're light years ahead, folks. I'm very, very comfortable that, God forbid, we do have an incident here in Livingston County, that we will handle it as good or better. Well, actually, we will do better than 99.9% of the agencies out there. Again, because we work together, we communicate, we train together. So
he's saying he's one of the most well-armed, prepared sheriffs around, better prepared than 99.9%. But I want to make a note, and this is where you guys need to be prepared. And you need to realize you're your own first responder, because when seconds happen, police are usually only minutes away. If you're lucky, they're only minutes away. They could be hours away, depending where you live. Depending on situations that the next sheriff's going to talk about, they may have a hard time responding at all. And unfortunately, in so many cases, and trust me, I have major issues with many things police do and trusting them and all of that. I do think the county sheriff, though, is the most constitutional form of law enforcement. I do want to make that crystal clear. The county sheriff goes back to the very, very roots of our country. They are an elected public servant. This man right here was elected by the people that live in Livingston County. But keep in mind, this dude could be the best dude in the world, and I have no doubt of that. He's very pro-Second Amendment, okay? I have a friend, Rick, that's a police officer that's out patrolling the streets right now. Some of you guys just hung out with Rick at the 2A EDU hangout a couple months ago. Awesome dude. He's not coming after your guns. There's some good cops out there, but here's the problem. They usually come afterwards to take a report of what's already happened. So they can be prepared 100% to respond when seconds matter, minutes or even longer away. So think about that.
Can we prevent something from happening here? Of course, if we have the information, we certainly will. That would be the best thing, obviously. But if we can't, we will respond, and we will respond very appropriately. There's tons of resources that we have at our fingertips, civilian as well, that we can dial up. So again, not to get too deep in the weeds, I would just ask two things. One, take a little bit of comfort in the fact that the emergency services in this county work extremely well together. I forgot emergency management. Sorry about that. But secondly, make sure that you can be self-sufficient for a couple of weeks and just be a little bit prepared. It's no different than a natural disaster, right? If you think about preparations for that. So that's it. Love y'all. Have a great week.
All right, so that's Sheriff Mike Murphy, and he alludes to the sheriff in Butler County. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, but I did take a quick side peek at the chat here, and we see Lori Dickin in the chat, which is clearly using his somebody else's account, because a lot of times people's main accounts get banned or whatnot. But there's my police officer friend right here, and he's a really good dude, a personal friend of mine. And if he gets a call, he has to get in his squad car and drive there. And when he gets there, I have no doubt that he'll do his best. Not even worried about it. Not worried whether he's going to violate his oath or not. I'm seriously, with this guy here, I'm not worried about Rick at all. But listen to what I just had to say. He would have to maybe start his squad car, maybe get to it, maybe have to drive. Maybe there's a tree down in the road. Maybe his radio stops working. What are you doing in your home if you're literally under attack? And God forbid if you have piece of crap police that are saying stand down while they're letting people terrorize your city, because we saw that during the summer of mostly peaceful protests, right? So there's many doom and gloom scenarios. with the police, with the sheriffs that we can talk about. And I encourage you guys to talk about that. We need to call out bad cops as much as we call out anybody. However, even if you have somebody that's among the best, and there are some good ones out there, they are never, ever, ever going to be able to respond as quickly as you can when there's an imminent threat on your home or on your family. And you heard Mike Murphy at the very end. He said, including help from civilians. Keep in mind, just think about where you live. This is going to be different everywhere. If you live in New York City right now, shout out to you guys in New York, man. I was listening to my favorite auto mechanics channel. It's called South Main Auto. Eric O. Anybody know that channel? Shout out to his channel if you guys are into watching great mechanics videos. Okay? I'm wrenching on stuff constantly. He came into one of my videos just recently and was like, dude, we haven't been able to find ammo where I live at in New York since March of 2020. And I was like, oh, dude, I guess you have to just order it online, right? He comes back and he says, dude, we haven't been able to order it online for a while now. And since I don't live in New York, I kind of forgotten, yeah, that was 2022 that happened. So there's different parts of this country where you're living in like almost a completely different country. And I just got reminded yet again how draconian it is for you people in New York as I'm sitting here fighting all this craziness going on in Michigan. And you people from California and Washington and New Jersey and Maryland and Illinois can chime in too, because it's all over the place. But my point is, if you live in New York City, and I might have a viewer watching from New York City right now, your police force is so huge, okay, that they literally are like their own military in and of themselves. We're talking tens of thousands of police. Now, that's a really big city, though, with many millions of people. You could be in a township. You could be in a village, unincorporated village, where you're just patrolled by the county sheriff. And maybe there's one or two deputies that might be assigned to your area. I have a friend right now who's out patrolling in a township that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was the only person on patrol all day today. Wow. Just think about that for a minute. There's areas that are so rural where the county people don't even come. It'd be the state. And again, you're relying on the government to try to keep you safe. You're already probably in the wrong frame of mind. You need to rely on yourself to be safe. In many cases, as Murphy alluded to, if things get bad enough, if crap were to hit the fan bad enough, and I think we're getting closer to that, we're under more of a threat right now on the national level than we were during 9/11 of 2001. And that's the FBI actually admitting that to us, so it's probably 100 times worse than that. Okay? If you guys are looking for awesome information on ammo, all of that kind of stuff, I have you guys completely covered over in my locals community. We don't share that stuff here on YouTube, but go check out my locals, and yeah, you guys can save a ton on really, really cool stuff. So with that said, you could have police in your area that are tyrants, that are part of this tyrannical government. Because as I said on the intro of this stream, we're under attack both from within and externally, all at the same exact time. The Second Amendment's under the attack from your own government. There's going to be so many law enforcement officers out there, unfortunately, in areas, in big city areas, in more liberal areas. They're going to do the whole, I'm just following orders. Now, look, that didn't work out so well at the Nuremberg trials, just following orders, but until those people were finally held accountable for that, millions and millions of people died. Died in Germany, died in many, many places within the last 100 years. So there's going to be bad cops in some areas that are not only not going to help you, but they're going to put their boot on your neck and make it even worse. But even if you have an excellent sheriff, an extra sheriff, deputy, officer friendly that lives down the road, and he is a cool dude and will come help you, there might only be one or two of him, and they may actually need your help. Murphy literally talked about, and I actually know quite a bit about this. If anyone's from living in the county, they can talk about this. Is and very close, has a very close relationship to the Second Amendment community in his county. And if you have a constitutional sheriff, he may not only not be able to protect you, he may need to call on you to help protect your hometown, to protect your neighborhood. So I want you guys to think about the different sides of that. And there's some of you that are like, dude, there's no way in the world I would trust my local police department or whatever. And I understand that. There's a lot not to trust there. There's systemic problems in law enforcement right now. There's systemic problems everywhere right now. Well, you need to be concerned and you need to be prepared, obviously. But even if your sheriff is awesome, even if your best friend that you went to high school with and he was the best man at your wedding is your local cop and he's your neighbor, you still need to be prepared. Because we're getting to the point right now where they're importing so many bad guys in here, right? There's getting to be almost more bad guys than there are good guys. And that's why I think it's time to seriously sit here and say, what do you have to defend yourself with? Now, water, solar, electricity, wind, should these be implemented on a national level and force us into a new Green Deal? No, but they might be useful tools if you have a solar panel to recharge your batteries on your property, things like that. There's so many preparedness things to think about, but I want to focus more on the guns and ammo and Second Amendment part of things because this is 2A EDU, but I do have thoughts on all the rest. Let's pop up and listen to this Butler County, Ohio sheriff, because this guy, and again, a good friend of mine talked to their sheriff. Okay, I'll just leave it at that for now and said, yeah, that guy might have said more than what, okay? And you heard the first thing that Sheriff Mike Murphy said. He said this sheriff from Butler County, he's not wrong. So let's play this. And this is a quite a bit longer video here. And just so you know, guys, look, it's not that I like to listen to myself talk. It's not that I think I can do better than this sheriff. I am going to have to pause and talk a little bit so that I can fall under the creative license. You're not allowed to just play somebody's video carte blanche. But if you're stopping and commenting and having discussion on it, then you're protected under what's called fair use. So keep that in mind. Whoever's watching from YouTube, I'm commenting on this and providing education and my commentary on this next video under what's called the fair use doctrine. So that's how we're sharing this video. And I will leave a link after this is done so you can go watch the original video. I'm just doing this for commentary purposes under YouTube's terms and conditions. Okay, Butler County Sheriff. Let me see if I can get this a little. This is heavy duty. Have any of you guys seen this? This is like, what? Maybe theater mode will help us a little bit. All right, let me play this for you guys. This is a 25-minute video. We're going to pause a little bit. I'll keep my eye on the chat while we're talking.
How's everybody doing today?
Morning, Sheriff.
Okay, we're going to shut the doors.
Shut the doors, he said. You know it's about to get spicy. He said, shut the doors.
My name is Rick Jones. I'm the Butler County Sheriff, Butler County, Ohio. I just came back from a national sheriff's training in D.C. 2 days ago. We were briefed by the FBI director, Ray, the director of the FBI, and several federal agencies. There's 3,300 sheriffs in the United States.
Wow.
The President of the United States refuses to meet with the sheriffs of the 3,300. We have a hierarchy. We have a president.
Current former vice president.
President of the United States refuses to meet with the sheriffs. He also refuses to meet with the police chiefs of the United States. They have a hierarchy also. He refuses to meet with them to talk.
Can you guys hear this okay? I want to make sure the audio is coming through. You might have to turn it up a little bit. He's coming in a little soft on my end.
Talk about border issues or talk about crime that's going on because of the border issue. We were also told by Mr. Ray, the FBI director,
Now it got louder.
that there are more red flags going off now than before 9/11. Okay? When I say red flags, meaning people that are here in this country that are wanting to do harm to us. We were also explained we're bombing 2 countries right now.
Jorge is always
There's
put
going to
the
be
ones he
as
loves
2
first.
countries right
But when
now.
it comes
Yeah,
to
we're
caring
probably
for his
bombing
teeth,
like
he's
20
let his own
countries right
maintenance
now.
take a back
Probably
seat.
actually worse
Well,
than this.
maybe
2 countries. These people do not like us before this started. There's thousands of people here from other countries, 160 different countries. They're here not to be our friends. Some of them are coming because they're wanting to come here to the best country in the world, the way we see it. Some are coming here to do harm to us. And we were told by the FBI director, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Not a matter of if, but a matter of when. And keep in mind, this is Christopher Wray, the FBI director, talking about this. He's not going to give everybody the full story either. So probably a lot worse, actually, than what we're hearing. What do you guys think? Let me know, chat.
We were also told 5 sheriffs went to Israel 5 weeks after the attack. The only thing that saved the Israelis, the government, was the local police. They were outgunned, outmanned. They came over. The Palestinians did. They came over. They killed, raped. The sheriffs were there. They talked to the police. The local police are what saved that country.
Yeah.
You can't just call, even in Israel, you can't just call the military up and they're going to be there, okay? They went house to house, raping, killing. The Israeli police, when our guys got there, the sheriffs, said they just don't hate us. They hate you guys equally.
Listen what he's saying here. That's how these people are. This is all about hate. Meanwhile, your own government hates you too. Quick question to all the veterans out there or active duty. Sans special forces, which are important too. I'm just excluding them right now because they could have quick deployments, teams or whatever. But from my understanding is the United States Marine Corps is the most rapidly deployable branch of the United States Armed Services. If I'm wrong, let me know. But let's assume that it's the United States Marine Corps. Any Marines out there? How fast would it take to get Marines if you got the order? Maybe you guys drill for this. Maybe you know. Answer me. Let me know. I mean, I'm just curious. Let's say there were some Marines in South Carolina. There's a lot of Marines in South Carolina, right? Or is it North Carolina on the border there? Both. Well, there's a bunch of Navy. There's a bunch of bases over there. Say you're down in the Carolinas. And they said, Michigan's under attack. And let's just say they got the order. I'm not saying the current former vice president would have them protect us because, in my opinion, he probably wouldn't. How long do you think it would take for, by the time it got down the chain of command, if you're at Camp Lejeune, right? Marine Corps base, Camp Lejeune. How long would it take to get from Camp Lejeune to get, let's just say they needed 1,000 Marines to come to Michigan. Now, I mentioned that because there's a place called, they call it Dearbornistan and many other things, family-friendly channel, has more people from the Middle East, okay, concentrated there than anywhere outside of the Middle East itself. It's a place that people often think about. Many good people live there. I'm just saying. How long would it take to get 1,000 Marines from Lejeune to, we'll just say Detroit, Michigan, for argument's sake? Could the United States Marine Corps be there in minutes? Would it be hours? Would it be days? Would it be weeks? Any of you guys in the Army, Air Force, Navy? Chime in the chat. I know there's tons of veterans and active duty that are watching right now. How long would it take once the order was given? Let's just assume it was given because it probably wouldn't be. We need you to have men move here because they're under attack. How quick could you get there? I just want to think about that. I want to read the chat.
And the same people that train them are the same people that train people to hate us. The FBI director said when 9/11 hit, there's more red flags now than then. So, and he said, these are people that want to kill us and do harm to us. Now, so you're wondering, I want everybody to know what I know. I can't tell you everything, but I want the public to know that we are in a terrible way right now. The United States, and I'm going to get to the local, the United States, we're on the defense. You can't be just defense and not have an offense. We have no offense. We're just defense. We're absorbing these attacks. We're in other countries. We're supplying them with weapons. We're supplying them with our treasure, our money, and we're not doing much back home. So with that in mind, we were also told that they're going, this is from the federal government 3 days ago, they're going to attack our elections, which they've always done that. just not the national. They're going to go into the locals. They encouraged us to talk to our local election officials and be prepared as much as they can for cyber attacks. Even locally, you have to be prepared. We've been told that, again, they're coming here to do harm to us. And even in Ohio or in the United States, we're not going to be able to call and ask for help from the federal government. They're going to be busy. The military's not coming, the National Guard. When 9/11 hit,
They said when they call the military, the federal government's not coming. The military is not going to be there to help, is what I just heard him say. He said the United States is no longer on the offensive. We're only on the defensive. And I would add to that, it's almost even worse than what the sheriff's saying if you really think about it. Not only are we on the defensive, we're actually aiding and abetting. You guys have seen all the footage of what's going on down there in Texas, right? The United States federal government that you pay for, right? They work for you, are ripping holes in the Constantine wire. Right this way, sir. Border Patrol agents, in many cases, from what I understand, it's almost become the norm now, are giving beverages and refreshments and bottles of water and snacks to these illegals that are storming through our border. They're not trying to stop them. So the same people that are letting them through, enticing them to do, don't get me started on all the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations, many of which some of you guys would be shocked are handing out debit cards and providing hotels and providing legal counsel to help them navigate ways that they can cheat our system. So not only are they not going to help, but the federal government in so many ways are actually aiding and abetting and perpetuating this issue.
it was all the police and the fire. And they were in total organized chaos. The military had the skies. And I don't want somebody asked me, am I like Doomsday Jones? And I said, no, I'm not like Chicken Little. I want you to know what I know. And if you don't believe what I'm telling you, that's okay. You can do what the Israeli citizens done. You can build a little safe house in your basement, and good luck. Now, getting to where we've been attacked here in Butler County, you're going to think, well, we've never been attacked. We have. The Russians attacked our system, our electronic system, our computer system. They hacked it. They also are trying to hack, just not ours. And we were down for 2 months, just a paper. Hacked our dispatching, hacked everything. Now, was that to help us? No, it wasn't to help us. It was to hurt us and cause chaos.
One of the great challenges in this world is knowing enough about a subject to think you're right.
As we speak today, the Russians are still attacking our computer system, just like they're attacking.
The Russians have no respect for our commander-in-chief whatsoever. It's blatantly obvious at this point, right?
Most of yours, but I want the public to know this. The Chinese tried to attack our cyber system here in Butler County, which includes everything that we have, dispatching for police and fire 5 times a day. I want to repeat that. 5 times a day. The Iranians are attacking our computer system and trying to hack it 3 times a day. I want to repeat that. 3 times a day.
This is how many times they're trying to attack just this county sheriff's department. Again, it's cyber attacks. It's just the way stuff is nowadays. And by the way, I want to address the chat real quick, guys. Look, I'm not saying to believe everything this guy says either, 100%. Somebody said this could be a big ploy for them to try to come through. And right here, Chris Lang says, I'm not sure this is some kind of ploy for more restrictions that lead to more civil asset forfeiture. Yeah, I'd say that's almost exactly what all this is. Obviously, the reason I want to talk about it tonight, and it's germane to all of you guys, is look, does it matter who the good guy or the bad guy is? At the end of the day, something's afoot right now, okay? Whether it's something that's real because it's inherently real, or whether it's because it's something fake that becomes a reality at the end of the day, when it comes down to what's happening in your hometown. what's happening on your doorstep. Y'all still need to be prepared. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. And that's the angle of I'm taking. I would never, ever, ever suggest that anybody inherently trusts anybody from the government, let alone everybody from the government. So, yeah. And who knows if the dog's wagging its tail or if the tail's wagging the dog. But at the same time, I believe there's a bad mood rising and trouble's on the way. I truly, truly believe that. And I want you all to be prepared and to be thinking about what you need to be prepared, because I'm sure you, Chris, and everybody else in the chat, you'll do the best job being able to protect your own family, right? So that's what I want to think about as we're listening to this stuff, because I don't trust this guy. I don't know him, but I will say this. I don't think he's wrong. I've been hearing more and more things to corroborate this lately. So.
Now, are they doing that to help us and be our friends? No, they're not. They're trying to disrupt everything that we do. And this next election coming up, they're trying to do the same. So what we're doing here is we've got rifles in every police vehicle we have. We have what we call a go bag. We have extra magazines. And we're...
Did you hear what he just said? His sheriff's deputies, he's issuing go bags to them. So if your local government's issuing go bags, I would hope all of you have a go bag, or at least are working on it, because I understand money's tight. Times are tough right now, but just listen. He's issuing his men go bags.
We're going to start training civilians. We've offered classes to train civilians, and we're going to start training civilians on what to do when disasters hit and emergencies hit. Naturally, we can't train the whole country. We can't train the whole county. We put this up online yesterday. It's full already. We can do like 30 people at a time. We're trying to get it. And the organization that is doing that is Texas A&M. They're coming here. The federal government's paying for it. They're going to train 30 civilians on what to do when disaster hits. 30 out of 400,000 people is not much. So we're trying to get more classes.
So they're working on training civilians. The federal government's paying for it. That's interesting.
Don't want to cause fear. Don't want to cause panic. But I want the public to be aware that you are under attack. And when they're attacking, they're trying to get our cyber system. We have a grid system. Butler County does. The whole United States. Hell, our grid system goes out when it gets hot. So,
true.
And our grid system is from the 1960s.
You guys do know that, right? I know he's not lying. In fact, he's kind of exaggerating, because in many cases, the grid system's even older than that. If you go back to like telephone lines and stuff like that, it's actually even older than that. We literally have like extremely antiquated technology in this country. Our actual physical grid, our infrastructure. I mean, we get a snowstorm around here. You guys ever see a transformer pop up closer from a distance? Poof, it'll make like the sky turn green. Just instantly 5, 10, 15, 20,000 people without power. Hours if you're extremely lucky, days, weeks. Yeah. Now, that's just what happens when it gets too hot outside. Too many people are running their air conditioners. That's what can happen when there's a severe ice storm. That's what can happen when there's a lightning strike. Just think about it. If there's an enemy coming in, or already here, if an enemy gets activated, whatever you want to call it, and starts actually going after this stuff, ooh, look out. I said when seconds matter, police are usually only minutes away. That's assuming that you have electricity to call them. That's assuming the cell phone tower wasn't taken out. I saw somebody say as many magazines as possible. You bet yourself on that. Yeah. When it comes to mags, stuff like that, yes, and yes. Look, nobody ever got mad because they had too much ammo. Nobody ever got mad because they had extra rounds left after they were done with a gunfight. I promise you that. Now, look, you've got bills to pay. I'm not telling anybody to go and max yourself out. I'm not telling anybody to lose your home or to not take care of your family. I'm not saying that at all. But if you thought to yourself and you're like, darling, maybe we could watch a movie today and spend 60, 70, 80 bucks. Or maybe we could just watch a movie at home and buy 5 mags for the good old AR or AK. Now, if you have 100 mags, then I guess go out to the movies because you're good. But if you're sitting there with like 1 mag at this point for your AR, maybe skip a movie night and get 5 more or 10 more. That's the kind of things I would think about because, yes, firepower, magazines, this is stuff that's right there. Like, this is the core essence of all of this. Again, if you guys are looking for stuff like that, man, oh man, I really, really spend tons of time over on my locals community. So check that out. You guys can save big time. And I'm not trying to just drum up business over there. I'm just telling you guys, like, I get some phenomenal deals where I'm like, people would be nuts if they didn't have and saw this, but I can't share that stuff here on YouTube. But that's what you should be thinking about. Magazines, absolutely.
And they're trying to attack our phone system. The Chinese are flying over with their little balloons. That's not to help us and help us do some weather direction. And all we're doing is we're on the defense. We're absorbing this. And these other countries that are attacking us overseas, it's a lot of drone attacks. Getting to drones. You know how much technology that local law enforcement has on drones? Zero.
What?
We can fly drones, and
Why
most
did you say?
police departments and sheriff's offices have drones. We can't detect drones. Hell, they look like a bird in the sky. We can't make the drones stop. We can't stop them. When you see football games on TV, the national football games, they call timeout to stop the drones.
So wait a minute. What do we have to stop drones? He's speaking for his area, obviously, but nothing. Jeez, oh, Pete. I've never been into skeet before. I'm going to be honest with you guys, but I listened to this earlier. And we said, what do we have to stop drones? And he said, nothing. I'm like, I think I might need to get a clay pigeon thrower and start practicing clays, I guess. Like, there might be something to the shotgun and going out and throwing a bunch of clays up in the air. And I don't know. Is anyone thinking what I'm thinking? He said, what do we have to stop drones? He said, nothing. Now, I know you guys are probably laughing at me that are like know all about this crazy advanced drone weaponry because I'm not an expert on it. Maybe you can't just shoot it out of the sky with a shotgun. I don't know. But if it got really close, I imagine the better you are at shooting clay pigeons or shooting skeet, the better. Because this guy's saying, what do we have for drones? Nothing. Jeez, oh, Pete, I want to go out and do some skeet shooting now, even though that's not even my thing.
Hell, my grandkids have drones. Everybody has drones.
Yeah.
We have no technology. The federal government doesn't share any of the drone technology with us. So what we're going to do is we're reaching out to the private industry, and we're going to see if we can get anything that can detect drones and how we can stop drones. Now, again, it's not to scare people. This is the truth. Everybody in this room, the news media, you guys get hacked. They try to hack you. One of the local channels in Cincinnati was hacked. They were down to paper for several weeks.
Dude, that's a big deal to get hacked. Just think about that. Like, getting hacked is a big, big deal. Like, everything's so digital right now. Your livelihood's online. The credit cards are all online. Your debit cards, your bank account. Are you guys keeping a little cash in the house? Are you keeping a little in a sock? Do you have a little coffee can? Did you bury it? These are hypotheticals. I'm just giving you guys stuff to think about here because you think about that. Just getting hacked, what that could do to something. Some of you guys have probably been hacked. Some of you have probably had your whole savings just liquidated, and hopefully you got to go through the fraud prevention department at the bank and got it sorted out. But what if you're in a situation where you're hacked, but like they're also hacked? Like, yeah. And what about these drones? Dude, think about that. Like, am I just being naive or not? Like, when I think of drone, like he said, his kids have drones, his grandkids have drones, and I'm familiar with those kinds. You fly them around, they're this big or they're this big or whatever. Like, would it be a good idea to like start practicing shooting clays? Like, can you get your 12 gauge out, and would it be 7.5 shot? Would it be number 6 shot? Would it be number 4? Would it be number 4 buck? double aught buck. I mean, I'm pretty sure some type of shotgun would be the best for a drone, right? Like I know a sharpshooter with their 5.56 maybe, but then you come into the hole. Is it really a good idea to be firing a rifle cartridge or even a pistol into the air like that? This is a big country. There are places actually where it might be safe to do that in certain places in the country, but for the most part, probably not a good idea to be shooting rifles in the air. You know, if you have any kind of ballistic arc, you could hurt somebody a mile away in some cases. I'm not trying to be too much of a safety Sally, but so when I think of shooting stuff in the air, I do think of shotgun. What do you guys think? Come on, gun people. You guys love to talk about guns, and I'm just thinking about it right now. Let me know so I can read this over the weekend. Is it far-fetched to think to yourself that maybe you might want to be ready to be able to shoot a drone out of the sky, out of your front yard, off the back porch, out in the back 40? You know what I mean? I'm trying to think about what would be the best for that. Like, thinking about different types of chokes, barrel length. Like, okay, I like to have like an 18-incher for within the home. Okay, that's good. We don't mind if the shot spreads a little faster if we're defending our life or our family within the home. And that 18-incher, or some people have what's called firearms, right? They're not a short-barreled shotgun. They're not a pistol. They're called a firearm. Some have little 14.5-inch barrels with a bird's head grip. This is good within the home. But do I need to start thinking about maybe like a 28-inch barrel? Like, now if you're going up into the air to defend yourself against a drone, now we're thinking about keeping that pattern nice and tight. Oh, my gears are kind of turning here. When he just said drone, we have nothing to prevent a drone. I'm like, well, that's okay, though, because freedom isn't free, and I've known for a long time I'm my own first responder. I want to take care of myself. I want less government, not more government. But this is what it means to be a responsible person. If you don't want more government and you don't want this to be employed to get more government in your life, that's only going to be possible if you can take care of yourself. Because the problem is too many people refuse to take care of themselves. Can't take care of themselves. Too lazy to take care of themselves. Too inept, whatever it is. And they just say, government, I need help. I need help. I need help. I don't want the government's help. Take the boot of the government off of my neck, repeal all gun control laws, which is how the founders intended it. Let me have the firearms that I deem are best to protect myself and my community and my country, and I'll be just fine. But then you actually have to think about these things. Like, okay, well, do you want to call the government to take care of a drone that's coming to hurt you and your family? I don't want the government in my life. So now I'm having to think about things. I know a lot about firearms. I probably know more about firearms than a lot of people have forgotten, and I probably know 1/10 as much as some of you watching. And I don't know why. Maybe it's not that I've been naive, or maybe just other stuff on my mind. I don't know what it is. Like, literally in real time as we're watching this right now, I'm kind of thinking to myself, what would be the best type of firearm? I'm pretty sure it's a shotgun, but barrel length, choke, shot. Let's have a conversation about this. Think about this stuff.
Just paper. When we were hacked, we were down to paper. Our computer system, our dispatching, all hacked. Again, that's being attacked by foreign countries. You wouldn't think that a foreign country would be attacking us. The public needs to know we're being attacked every day. Now, people that are here to do us harm, do we expect? I've been to the border 3 times. People are not just turning themselves in. They're actually called gotaways. And some of them are getting through with backpacks.
This is scary, guys.
Now, are they bringing groceries with them? We don't think so. We believe the ones that don't want to get caught, there's a reason for that. We believe they're a good, strong possibility they're bringing something here to cause us harm. You have to believe that. China has safe houses in every state in the United States. Now, after I discuss that, I'm going to take questions. But there's 3 things I'm going to be asking the state of Ohio to do on the offense, not just the defense. I've reached out to State Representative Sarah Crothers, and I've reached out to State Representative Cindy Abrams, 2 state representatives. And I've asked them I've instructed them, and you're going to receive a copy of it, that there's 3 things I'm asking the state to introduce legislation on.
And over the whole world rose a clamor of hysterical joy.
World War I promised us a...
One is the northern border. You think that we don't have a border, but we do. We border Canada.
Northern border.
So what happens is
I'm an hour from there right now, guys.
Border security have been pulled, a lot of them, a large portion of them, quite a few of them, to go to the southern border. So what happens when we do that? Drugs are coming back across more the northern border.
Do you hear what he's saying here? So as they're pulling forces from the northern border to bring them down to the southern border, now we're getting more drugs, crime, warlords, cartels. This is all one big thing here. Let's think about that for a minute. The northern border. I'm pretty close to the northern border. There's a tunnel and a bridge. I don't know what traffic is right this minute, but this time of night, easily less than an hour. I could be up to there and via Detroit in probably 45 minutes or so. I could be to the border. Every state is a border state now, though, because they're shipping them all the way across the country.
People are coming across water and land. With that in mind, I want you to keep in mind, I'm asking that there be legislation introduced and that the governor appoint a task force to do interdiction on people and drugs coming in across our waterways and our borders into the state of Ohio.
Did you hear what he just said? He's realized that the federal government has completely failed his county and the state of Ohio. I think it's obvious the current former vice president's administration has failed all of your counties and states that you live in. He's literally talking about setting up an interdiction force and his own border patrol on the border of Ohio. So, oh my gosh, not to be too dramatic tonight, guys, but this is stuff we need to think about. Now I start hearing the word Civil War pop in my mind almost all over again. Think about that. And I'm not saying like that's a bad thing for this guy. I just heard him say he wants legislation to basically set up border patrol guarding the border of Ohio. Oh, this is getting interesting. Chime in, people from Texas, too. I know you guys talk a lot about seceding from the Union. You guys actually have a bill that's going to be coming up soon that needs to be voted on for that. So this is not me trying to... Look, guys, I'm not fear-mongering. This is stuff that's like literally like germane right now. We just heard this sheriff say he wants to set up their own border patrol for the state of Ohio. Texas literally has pending legislation to secede from the Union. Chime in. Let me know. Lots of good chat, by the way. I'm really going to look forward to reading this chat this weekend.
Texas has done some of the similar. So the fentanyl has decreased by 40% from Texas and moved over to Arizona. So it's coming across. I was told 5 and 8 pills that are coming across and into this country have fentanyl in them. The illegal pills. China helps the Mexican government with the fentanyl that comes into our country. Again, they're trying to help us out. They're our friends.
Yeah.
5,000 people die a year in Ohio, fentanyl poison.
That's
100,000 die a year in the United States.
It's terrible.
Our government is doing nothing to stop it. We're on the defense. Number one, that we have a border security task force. Number two, I'm asking that the 2 state representatives introduce legislation that will also form a full-time 24-hour-a-day cyber security, not part-time. Every department has their own. We don't communicate with anybody. If we're going to be attacked, which we're getting every day, I assume everybody is. I'm asking that these 2 state reps introduce legislation that we have one cyber security czar that's full-time, nonstop, 24 hours a day.
Okay, so he's talking about introducing new legislation, and my first gut instinct to be like, no more new laws. We have too much government. But then I listened to actually what he's talking about, and look, the government is actually supposed to have very, very limited authority, very limited power, and they're supposed to have very, very small amount of function. But one of the fundamental functions that the federal government is supposed to have is to secure our borders and to protect our borders from foreign invaders. That's actually one of the only legitimate constitutional reasons for our government to even exist. Now, we have the federal government and the commander-in-chief, otherwise known as the current former vice president, not only abdicating that duty, but aiding and abetting of the enemy to bring and invite these people in. He's saying maybe Ohio needs to grab the bull by behind the horns and say, well, if the United States government's going to let them in the country, I guess we have to set up our own border patrol to stop it at the Ohio line. Again, this scares the crap out of me hearing any type of government saying we need more government. I don't like that, but look at the position that we're in. See? That's why I think this is all by design. This is not a coincidence that at the times that they're opening up our borders more than they ever have before, that they're coming for our guns at a rate like they never have before. Just think about all this huge plethora, this influx of ATF rules. We used to go decades in this country without an ATF rule. Now it's every other week there's a new ATF rule. Reinterpretations of these bipartisan laws that were passed with the help of Republicans. So it's crazy, but this stuff's all happening at once. And I've seen a few of the chatters tonight that have said, yeah, this is a big thing that's getting created to where we'll give up a little bit more liberty. And if you remember Ben Franklin, those who would give up essential liberty for a little bit of perceived safety and security, they deserve neither, and they're going to wind up with neither. And I agree with that. Do I want it to where all 50 states have their own border patrol? No. But we have a government right now where they're not. Look, you cannot have a country if you don't have borders. So this is a big, big deal. And again, one more time, I agree with far less government than we have. I don't know if it's a good idea for Ohio to set up their own border patrol or not. And if you wanted my real quick answer, probably not a good idea. And I'm probably actually vehemently opposed to that. But it just shows you why you need to be prepared that we're even in a situation right now where this man would even be talking about how his state needs its own border patrol. That's a dire situation. Just think about all this for a minute. And I don't want an Ohio Border Patrol actually having a task force to prevent cybersecurity. If they're lacking in that, yeah, cybersecurity is a really, really big deal. But then again, how good of a job will the government do on that? Who knows? But he's saying we have big vulnerabilities right now with cybersecurity and protecting ourselves from drones and all of that kind of stuff.
They're attacking us all. Third, very important. I'm asking that legislation be introduced like in Texas, that if you're pulled over or stopped in the state of Ohio, that there be legislation, the law changed, that you can be charged with a state felony charge of being here illegally, and you can be arrested and charged. Those three things. Now, I come to you not to alarm you, but to arm you. I want you to know what's going on. None of this I've made up. This is being told to us. And the reason it's being told to us, because 9/11, they knew it was coming. And none of us knew. No communications with local law enforcement. We can't do anything with drones. We have drones, but we're going to. And we're going to do everything we can to protect our community, to keep our live squads, our fire, our dispatching.
Like he said, they knew 9/11 was coming. Didn't bother to tell anybody local about it. And they say, now we know something's coming again.
If you've ever lost your phone or your battery goes dead, everybody freaks out. Imagine if you can't use your cell. Now, again, they're getting into our cyber, and that's what our country, you can't pump gas without electricity. You can't pump water without electricity. So,
with Norwegian, wake up to a new city.
These aren't my commercials, guys. I'm not having any commercials playing while it's live. This is from what we're watching.
Ask these state representatives. I've been in communication with them. You can reach out to them. They'll be waiting for the conversation. And this is just a beginning. And again, I've instructed my IT people to start looking at ways that we can detect drones and what we can do to stop drones. I don't know if there is any technology. Our government doesn't even have enough. Now, I will take questions at this point.
Okay, I'll come back and we can listen to a little bit of that in just a couple minutes here, but wow. So they're basically saying that to stop drones, there's nothing we can do about it. Do you guys, is there anybody left still at this point? I want to ask you guys this that are hold out, oh, preppers are crazy and they're tinfoil hat. Because there was a time when we were programmed to believe that if anyone talked about preparing for anything, that like, ooh, you're crazy, this and that. But man, like he just said, the gas pump doesn't work if there's a cyber attack. In many cases, you won't be able to get water if there's a cyber attack. You won't be able to get food if there's a cyber attack. Do you all think it's a good idea in this day and age, as the old saying goes, and I'm going to sound old, in this day and age, do you think it's a good idea to have some water to drink or a way to filter it? Is it a good idea to keep some fuel at your home? Maybe it's propane that you use for energy. Maybe it's diesel fuel. Maybe it's gasoline. Maybe it's wood that you burn in your stove. Maybe it's coal. Maybe it's wood pellets. Whatever it is, you guys, hopefully your gears are turning just thinking about things. Medications. Think of all the people that have diabetes in this country that if their insulin were to go bad, which I understand it goes bad very quickly if it's not refrigerated. Do you have the power to keep it refrigerated? Do you have ways to keep things cold that need to stay cold? Like there's so much stuff to think about that isn't Second Amendment related at all. But think about it another way. If you have a situation where the grid goes down, whether it's cyber attacks or mass power outages and or both, it only takes people just a couple days before civilized people start becoming barbaric, start taking to rioting in the streets, running around in hordes and mobs. You just take away people's electricity for like 2-3 days. And like the animal comes out in the average person and they start just kind of running around, pillaging and trying to, I guess, fight to survive or for whatever. You also notice that anytime there's a hurricane or any type of any natural disaster, people are in there looting and robbing the Best Buy and the big box store and stealing all the big screen TVs. I mean, think about that. You live in a country among people where there's like a real deal disaster and there's people dying that need help. And a lot of people's top priority is to go loot everything that there is and steal everything that there is. That's where we really have to start thinking about the Second Amendment. Because you could have a tyrannical government coming, and that's the first and foremost reason why the Founding Fathers put the Second Amendment in place. It wasn't about hunting. I mean, it is about hunting, but that's not why they put it there, because obviously everybody would have a rifle to hunt with, because back in the 1700s, if you didn't hunt, you didn't eat. So, of course, you would have a gun for that. And that was never questioned at that time. But what was questioned was the security of a free state. What would be necessary to the security of a free state? So a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And that was to protect you from enemies, both foreign and domestic, and to protect you from yourselves. Because there's a potential for three things, and there's actually a decent potential for a possibility of all three at the same time. We have foreign invaders among us now. Illegals among us now. Not a lot of these are good people. Many of them are not good. They're not all Hispanic either. Don't think that that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about them bringing them in from China. They're bringing them in from Iran. They're coming from many, many places all across the world, and they're getting invited in, aided and abetted by the people who swear an oath to protect and defend. It could be them. While at the same time, as many of you have quite astutely said, And that's why I appreciate being with you all. Very, very smart people in this chat. This could be where the government's letting all this happen so crazy enough stuff could get going. And while we're dealing with crazy here, they come in and flank us from the other side with some type of, I've seen people talk about things like martial law, okay? Lockdowns from the government, complete and utter tyrannical control. Yeah, that's the other reason why the Founding Fathers put in the Second Amendment. To protect us, obviously, so that Great Britain couldn't come back and invade us again. That's an obvious aspect of the Second Amendment, let's face it. And they were really, really smart, the Founding Fathers, weren't they? Because if you think about the War of 1812, the Brits did actually come back. They were able to burn down our White House. So they knew that that would come back again, and they were ready for that. But they also knew that our own government not only could, but would eventually become tyrannical. And that if the people, we the people collectively are the militia. That's the militia we're talking about here. We're not talking about the regular army that was only supposed to be raised in times of war and then dispersed in times of peace. If you don't believe me, go back and read the original Founding Fathers. One of their worst fears, not just that they didn't think about this, no, literally one of their worst fears was us ever having a standing army in times of peace. Navy was different. Navy would be patrolling and guarding in the high seas. You would have the Marine Corps, the leathernecks. Why are they called leathernecks? Well, they would put a piece of leather type armor around their necks to protect them when they were fighting pirates who would slash the throats as one of their main fighting techniques. And they were actually really good at fighting that way. Here's a kukri from Nepal. This is original Gurkha kukri made by a Gurkha kukri house in today's day and age. Now, they may not be actual Gurkhas today, but from one of the families that's been knife makers for all these years. And I actually have an original antique one just on the other side of the room, but leatherneck. And I'm not saying they were fighting people specifically from Nepal. You think about the Barbary pirates and the shores of Tripoli, the Marine Corps anthem. So the Marine Corps, the Navy, but we weren't even supposed to have a standing army in times of peace. If we were invaded by another army, we'd rise an army. But in the meantime, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Well, look, the government never let any opportunity like this go to waste. So we could be under attack. Well, whether the government started the attack or not, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. And I hate the fact that I would have to say maybe the government would start the attack, maybe they wouldn't, right? But with that said, you could be literally getting attacked, like hacked, drones, people running in the streets trying to behead you. Like that's literally still happens today, by the way. While the government's coming in trying to put in martial law. And yeah, like all at the same time. And it's kind of funny because some people are like, well, that sheriff is a government man. You can't trust him either. And some of you are saying we can trust this sheriff and he's a great guy. There's two sides of the fence on that. But either way, what's that have to do with you being prepared? Because if you do trust the sheriff, what he's saying here in Butler County, then you better listen up and get yourself prepared. If you don't trust him, you better listen up and get prepared even all the more. So at the end of the day, there's lots of hypotheticals. There's lots of different ways to look at this. But either way, in my opinion, they all go back to many different paths, all converge into one path. And that's that I hope you guys are prepared. And that you're thinking about these things. And preps means so many different things. But when I think about the Second Amendment, I think about guns. Now, look, if I only had to have one gun, people love those types of conversations and they are fun to have, right? But, well, hold on a minute. If I was in a certain circumstance, would a shotgun be my go-to gun? No, and heck no. I could think where a Kalash would be way better for many things than a shotgun. But hold on a minute. He just said drone, the sheriff did. He said our government doesn't even have any ways to defend against drones. Now I'm starting to think about that shotgun again a little bit. You have scenarios where you think, oh my gosh, if crap hits the fan or if it's Teotihuacan, the end of the world as we know it, that it's going to be real similar to a certain movie in your head or maybe a book or maybe footage from different other places. Maybe you're thinking of the Balkanization of the former Yugoslavia. There's many things that pop in people's head. And, you know, sometimes history repeats itself. Sometimes it rhymes. Sometimes it's completely different. You think of a scenario where a lot of this crap that they're warning of us hits the fan. It might be a pistol. Well, hold on a minute. So-and-so tactical trainer said the only reason to have a pistol is to get to your rifle. Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean you don't need a pistol sometimes to try to get home to your rifle. See, you may have to kind of gray man yourself around town to keep going about your way. In fact, it's a big misconception a lot of people don't really think about, but we've had different civil wars and military coups that have happened right within our lifetime, just in recent years. You can literally see people like, the drive-through line at McDonald's is full as you see tanks go by, chung, 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 and then 3 blocks away, boom, 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 and someone throws a Molotov cocktail on the tank. People are swerving around it, and then when they get around it, they go drive through the McDonald's drive-through. So there's a scenario where, nothing's really going on, but you all know that we're in a culture civil war. That's pretty obvious. That's something that's still going on right now. And will be for quite some time. And then there's like where it's super hot. And then people think, okay, well, if it's not that, then it's got to people in rank and file, right? And they're literally counting the cadences off. And there's even the little drummer boy in the front. And that's what it's going to look like. And they're going to come in and they're going to march and they're going to say, present arms, right? And it's going to be, maybe we did have wars in this country that were like that in the past. But what if it's not either of those? What if it's like a bit of both? What if it's like, yeah, I still need to go to work today because bills are still due, but like maybe I'll have to take like a detour around town because there's like a skirmish going on over there. So I don't know, man. It gets real interesting. And I don't think it's as simple as just to say to be prepared. Okay. And again, many preps, and I've highlighted some of them tonight, but Second Amendment, guns, ammo, knives, things like that. I don't know if it's just as simple as to be like, buy a shotgun, that's all you'll ever need. Buy an AR, that's all you'll ever need. An AK, that's all you'll ever need. A particular type of knife, a particular type of implement. I don't know. There's many, many things to think about here. But I don't know. I can just feel it, man. Like Sheriff Murphy said earlier, people just ain't quite right anymore. Have you noticed that? It's like you go around, you try to be in a good mood because, look, I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. Actually, I'm trying to encourage all of you. Look, if life just sucks so bad that like, oh, just crawl in a hole, then why would we even be talking about being prepared? There's like wonderful things in life. And there's like beautiful, beautiful things in life. And there's really many beautiful people out there. There really are. As much as there's just terrible people out there, there's really, really good people out there. And I encourage you guys to cling to things that are good and to enrich yourself with things that are good, because you need to lift your spirits to deal with all of this evil. So yes, everything's going crazy right now, and there's people that are just like losing their minds. Well, if you want to be able to survive, if you want to be able to still spend time with your friends and your family and your loved ones, you have to think about these things. I just want to be left alone, but like, you could be left alone until a mostly peaceful protest comes and tries to burn your house or your neighborhood down. And we literally saw that like crazy, just like a couple years ago. They said these are mostly peaceful protests. You remember that? Stuff's blowing up. It's burning all over the place. Man, just think about that. These people worked their whole life. Shouldn't have had to work so hard, but they did, because all the takers in this world are on the backs of all the people who have actually had to bust their butts to be able to work their butt off, get taxed to no end. You know, a lot of you guys work with your hands. A lot of you guys work with your minds. And it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you're working your butt off. You're basically a slave to the tax man, and you get to purchase a little bit of security and freedom back. And that little bit you get to purchase from the government that they don't take in taxes, you spend your whole life to build your business, to buy your home. And we've seen people literally just within our own country just come out of the woodwork. I believe these are Bolsheviks. I believe these are communists. This is like not much different at all than the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917 that formed the Soviet Union. Like, that's going on in this country in so many places. And these hordes of people just come and they would tell the police, stand down. Don't do anything. These are mostly peaceful protesters, and they burn down whole neighborhoods, businesses, homes. Took away people's lives. Took away their livelihood. These were businesses that people needed to work at to feed their families, and they burned them down. Like, we've literally seen this happen, and that's just stuff from extremist leftists that hate our country right in front of our face. And there's still people that'll say, oh, you're crazy to think about being prepared. You'd be crazy to not be prepared. Now, if that's not enough, just look in the last 3 years since we saw the summer of mostly peaceful protests. Now they're opening and inviting them in. Did you guys think you live in a country where not only will they not protect the border, but they'd say, right this way, sir, all of the illegals, all the illegal invaders, if you need a bottle of water, get in this line. If you need some food, get in this line. There's an NGO over here, which will help you forge your paperwork. There's an NGO over here that'll help you get a hotel room. Here's a debit card. There's a debit card for everybody. And you're like, dude, I'm on disability. Because I worked my butt off as an auto mechanic, and now my knees are shot, and my back hurts, and the doc got me hooked on pain pills, and I'm just trying to survive. They don't care about you. They'd rather you go curl up in the gutter and die. And meanwhile, here's a debit card, there's a debit card, there's a plot of land. Try to get a hotel for you and your family when you're on vacation in a lot of towns right now, and you can't even do that because they're housing them with so many illegals. No vacancy, says the sign, and many really, really nice hotels that you can't stay at when you're on vacation with your family because they're housing foreign invaders. And there's really, really good immigrants, obviously. Like I said when I started this stream, I know many of them very well. Some of them are some of the best people I've ever met. But there's a lot of them that aren't so nice, and they're not here because they want to be an American. They're here because they want to destroy America. And I believe a lot of them are here on orders from their government, and they're in a different chain of command. Things like fentanyl. Dude, that stuff is crazy. I remember we used to quibble about stuff like, well, how bad is weed? How good is weed? How bad is this? How bad is that? I don't care for the garbage at all, and don't get it near me. I don't like marijuana. I don't like alcohol. I'm a pretty square dude, but like, we're done debating about that kind of stuff. Like, are you kidding me? This is called fentanyl. You can have one granule that's the size of a grain of sand and ended up dead. So they're killing our young people with this fentanyl coming across the border. Meanwhile, there's military-age men coming in, almost marching in. And then they try to put more and more Second Amendment restrictions and hurdles and gun control laws in place, all at the same exact time. Do you guys think it's a coincidence? Now, I'm not trying to tell you guys the war on drugs was a good idea, and I think almost everything at this point the government does is actually a really bad thing and actually makes stuff worse. Like, I get all that. And there is a certain libertarian side to me, and there is in some senses, but I'm actually more of a straight constitutional conservative, and there really is no home for a person like me except for hanging out with good people like you. The 2A Edu channel is a good home for me when it comes to this, but I like to read founding documents from before 1776, during 1776, 1788, 89, 91, and those are my ideals. And that's the party I would be in if there was one, called the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. The Bible is the wisest book ever written, and second to that would be the Declaration of Independence. And the law means what it means. It says what it says. Read the Constitution. If it's there, it's the law. If it's not, it ain't the law. And that's what I subscribe to. But they bring in this fentanyl. Now, they give the death penalty for drugs, and it's a quick trial. Quick trial in China. Drug dealer gets busted, they're gone. Sometimes it's within minutes, sometimes it's within hours. They're just... But we're seeing more and more mounting evidence that it's coming from China via not only the southern border, but now the northern border in the United States. This stuff's poisonous. This stuff is bad. It's killing lots of young people. But that's okay. Because there's a replacement going on in this country right now. And in many places where they want to replace people like me. People like you. And they want these illicit drugs that are killing our children to come in so they can bring other people in as a replacement for that. I think it's very, very evident right now. And this is not only adjacent to the Second Amendment. This whole conversation we're talking about is literally the epitome of the Second Amendment, because I believe that there's nefarious foreign actors at play here. I really do. I believe there's nefarious people that are among us. Some of our own, we the people, hate America and have been brainwashed to want to destroy it. And I do believe there's a grand scheme of replacement that has to do with the whole world, but it also has to do with the United States, where they want to get rid of certain types of people and bring in other types of people. I do believe that's afoot. And I believe our government won't just jump at the opportunity. They will go at the speed of light if they find the opportunity to come in and disarm you. And then a great savior will be presented to you. It might not be called a Führer. It might not be called a premier. It might be called the current former vice president. It might not be, but I think they want to get us down as much as they possibly can. And get it where nobody will stand up for anything anymore. Because just remember, this is always going to be true in your life. It's going to be true in your children's life and your children's children's life. If you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. And I know you guys are good people. And I know you guys know a lot of good people. And you need to stand up for yourself. You need to stand up for good. And you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared to battle this culture war and to talk to people in town, in the streets. They want to bring their rhetoric. You need to bring it back. You also need to stand up for yourself when they're roving through. And if you're physically under attack, you need to be able to stand up and defend yourself. As Mao said, all political power comes from the barrel of a gun. And the government has guns. And the criminals have guns. See, I was talking to some people, and they're actually really cool people. And I'm pretty sure one of them doesn't share any type of ideologies as I do. But I was talking to some guys in a Zoom meeting last night. A couple were from the United States. One was from France. And one was from Indonesia. A very lovely lady from Indonesia that I met last night. Now you guys are thinking, 2A EDUs on a Zoom with people from all across the world? Of course I am, because they may not have the Second Amendment in their countries. And there's some stuff I think we agree on. There's some stuff we don't agree with whatsoever, but every one of us agreed that it's a natural human right to be able to protect yourself and to be able to defend yourself and to be able to have the freedom of speech. And we all believed that censorship was wrong. If we could just get a consensus in this country on literally two things. First Amendment's good, censorship's wrong. Second Amendment's good, gun control's wrong. We would literally be like good to go. So have fun and quibble with your friends and family about as much as you want. I don't care, but try to focus on a couple things. The Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, the whole Bill of Rights. It's all extremely important. I'm not undermining any of it. I'm just only one person can have so many focuses, but don't censor yourself. Be prepared. You have to be prepared for the battle of the minds, because that's going to be going on constantly. You know, the pen's mightier than the sword, so they say, but is the sword? See, the pen's mightier. The war of propaganda is real, and the culture war is real, but you can literally can't write your way out of something as you're fiercely writing and the sword would be at your throat, what are you going to do? See? A lot of people think that's a very easy answer. If I were to ask you, is the pen mightier than the sword? There's actually really not an easy answer to that. So you do need to be prepared with the sword. I know you guys don't have a lot of money. I'm not trying to tell anybody to go into debt. I'm not telling anybody to panic buy. But here's what I would offer you some advice. Think about these things that are going on right now. If you believe that sheriff and think he has good intentions, you should prepare. If you don't believe that sheriff and you think he's part of the machine and he's really against you, then you should definitely prepare. If you've looked around yourself and just seen what's going on in this country right now, you should prepare. What does that mean? It might mean you need to get some more stuff. I've truly tried my hardest to help you guys get the best deals ever on stuff. That's all in my locals. Can't do that here. But maybe it's a matter of going through and finding your stuff. Oh, geez, I must have 35 magazines somewhere, you say to yourself. Well, someday might never come, but it might come tomorrow too. Find your stuff. Get your stuff in order. Get yourself in order. Some of you are going to have easier times than others. Some of you are going to have to work a little harder than others. I get it. Freedom's not free. Freedom was never free, and it's never going to be free. But get your stuff together. Get your house in order. Get your supplies in order. Get your mind in order. Get your spirit in order. And just be ready to be prepared for so many things. If you can find people in your hometown, in your county, to get together and be prepared together, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. You know, Pillbox Bunker, he probably has everything he needs. His name's Pillbox Bunker, but a hypothetical, what if Pillbox Bunker had some powerful radios and was really good at using them? Okay. What if I didn't have those, but I had guns? Now, this is a hypothetical because he has radios and he has guns, and I have radios and I have guns, but humor me here. But maybe me and him could get together in the local area and say, all right, I'll post up with my guns and protect while you're using the radios to call for some help. I mean, that's a real basic example. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. To talk to each other and just think about this kind of stuff. Maybe just sit there and talk to your wife, your husband, your neighbor, your kids, whatever. You guys know your household and family certainly better than I do. And maybe it's like, maybe we could put away a little rice and beans, even though there's probably better stuff to eat than that. Maybe we could we can't afford this $8,000 complete water filtration system, but maybe we should at least have a life straw. Look, don't let perfect get in the way of good enough. Things are always evolving. There's always more stuff that you're going to want than what you can get. Obviously. Yeah, maybe you should have 10,000 rounds for each rifle. Sure, maybe that's your goal. Maybe it's not. But here's the thing. If you have 50 rounds, but your goal is 10,000, I'm just giving you guys a wide disparity here for a reason. 100 is still a lot better than 50. Think about it that way. 200 is a lot better than 100. So maybe you have 500 rounds of ammo. You just need to find it and make sure you know where it's at. So I think about this stuff. I really would. I'm going to take a look at some of these generous super chats here. And speaking of ammo, make sure you guys check out RPM, Rockville Precision Munitions. I'm going to leave a post over on locals as soon as I'm done here. It's just due to the way YouTube is. I'm going to share that over there. Because when I think of being prepared, I certainly think of ammo really quick. And now I'm thinking about other things too, like shotguns. And does anyone like this cookery from Nepal, even though I drew it where it would look good on camera and just dropped the little knife sharpening thing on the ground? But that's okay. It's well made and it'll be good with its water buffalo wrapped sheath and everything. These are cool, by the way. This is arms too. This is a knife for whoever's watching on YouTube. We're allowed to show knives. Knife? Hi, Susan Wiki and the crew that watches on YouTube. But yeah, that's a knife for you, and that's an arm. It's protected by the Second Amendment, obviously. Boom Boom 2A just left another super chat. Thanks, man. He said, Americans, keep your head on a swivel at all times. Keep your head out of the sand. Yes, sir. If you see something suspicious, report it and keep your eye on it. I like the keeping your eye on it part. The reporting it, maybe not. That's to your own discretion, just depending what it is that you see. I'm just not a big asking the government for help kind of guy, if you know what I mean. But, you know, Patrick Fellers with a super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. Nice to see you. He says the Second Amendment was created as a failsafe to combat tyranny, and not just for hunting, shooting sports, or self-defense. Yes, sir. And I'm sure you typed that before I said something similar, which means we're on the same page. We may not be neighbors with each other, but we're still in the good fight together, and we're hanging out right now, right, man? What's happening, QD? How you doing, man? What's happening? It's gifted 10 2A EDU memberships. Well, thank you for supporting the channel. And there's 10 more people that can see that new video that I literally just popped up. Like, it was so late last night. I think it was technically this morning. So definitely go check it out. Like, look, guys, we have to have fun. Every channel member, Patreon, I'm uploading it to that this evening, and locals. I have it available there for the supporters. I give you guys a little extra bonus content. This stream's not pay to play. Everyone can watch it for free in most of my videos, but I do bonus content for the supporters, and you can see I'm practicing what I preach. Like, look, get yourself prepared to defend yourself, but still have fun. And my video I posted last night has nothing to do with guns, nothing to do with ammo at all, and we had a lot of fun making it. And that is available for 10 more people to be able to watch, thanks to QD. Patrick Fowlers with another super chat. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it, dude. He says, Joseph Stalin said, if you want to bring America down, you have to undermine three things: our spiritual life, our patriotism, and our morality. Yeah. Was he wrong? I hate to say Joseph Stalin was right, but I'm not going to say he was wrong. Now, I'm going to end this stream in just a minute here. And I'm going to do something you're not supposed to do anymore. Some of my viewers get mad at me for this. The federal government has said I was put on a list. This is becoming taboo. But I'm going to do it anyways, especially since it's taboo. I'm going to read from the Bible. This is the American Patriots Bible. It's a New King James Version, but it has a lot of historical context talking about how the United States was shaped from its founding and has been shaped all the way along by Christian values and by God. And I'm using my bookmark today from my favorite representative, Jamie Thompson. I hung out with her today in a gun shop in southeastern Michigan, and there's going to be some more content regarding the Michigan gun laws soon. And they said, you know what? You're not supposed to talk about the Bible anymore. In fact, I even have people from the gun community telling me, dude, you got to stop reading from that Bible. I'm going to unsubscribe. And it's like, well, you know, I mean, they'll be back because I'm a pretty good dude and, you know, whatever. But no, I do want to read from the Bible. And I want to read from it every week because there's certain things that just never get old. And the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. And I've read this the last 2 weeks, and I want to read it again. This is from Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. To everything, there is a season. Ain't that the truth? All of this is the truth. Time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to pluck what is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to break down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to gain, and a time to lose. A time to keep, and a time to throw away. a time to tear, and a time to sow, a time to keep silence, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time of war, and a time of peace. And if you want peace, you do need to prepare for war. And I don't want, and you don't want, but you should be prepared right now. And you should always be prepared. And you should be encouraged. You have to be encouraged by something. If you're encouraged by the Bible, I suggest you read it. If you're encouraged by the Bible, I suggest you read it more. If you're encouraged by other things, I suggest you do those too. But I sure hope all of you are encouraged by being a good person and caring about each other and caring about standing up for your natural rights. And I think that you do, and I know that you guys do. So I just want you guys to think about being prepared in so many ways, mentally, spiritually. If the sheriff's giving all of his deputies go bags, you should probably have a go bag at your house, just in case you need it. I know none of you guys want to do anything bad. You don't want to do anything wrong, but I hope all of you want to defend yourselves and protect yourselves. I hope you do anyways, and I encourage you to want to protect yourselves because we need more good people to be sustained and to prosper, not the other way around. Randy Smith left me a member super chat for 10 months and said, watch that video. Very nice. Well, I'm glad you like it. And we had a lot of fun doing that video. There's going to be another bonus video with a young journalist that I'm helping to train. And she actually did a really good interview. I'll give you guys that much of a tip that we'll be posting very soon. What's happening, Boom Boom 2A? Thanks for the super chat and for being a channel member. He says, my bad. No, there's no bad. Let's see what he says here. I did not say report to who. You're correct. You did not. He says, you must ensure you have reported it to friends so others are aware in case you become incapacitated. I completely and utterly agree. And your comment didn't make me mad or anything like that. But thank you for the other super chat. You certainly didn't have to pay to clarify that. But I do appreciate the contribution. I was actually just kind of like adding a few extra words, which maybe I didn't need to let people know, like, that whole if you see something, say something. I'm not into that, but where he's coming from, and I completely agree with, is keep your head on a swivel. Kind of look around a little bit. You guys know? Well, first of all, I can look at my camera and see behind me, but I'm pretty much good to go. I have Lamy. Thanks to Pillbox Bunker, the generous sponsor of Lamy's Half Track. See Pillbox Bunker in there? Look, guys, I'm going to tell you this quick story before I get off the phone, before I get off here. The phone, the computer. I know most of you guys watch on the phone. Look, I'll tell you guys a real quick story. Lamy, he's become a channel icon and a channel mascot. He came from my good friend Rachel, who I haven't seen lately because she moved a little bit further away, but she's still my friend. And Lamy was here for security. And then around that time, there was the two-way sanctuary county movement in Michigan. Now, I don't live in Livingston County, but I have friends that do, and I encouraged my viewers to go, and I said I'd be there, and Pillbox was going to go already, and Jane Locke was already going to be there, and I saw Jane Locke in the chat earlier. So, go there, meet Pillbox face-to-face. He had been a viewer in the chat for a while, and we were friends, and I consider you guys friends. Just because you're in the chat, we're still friends. Just some of us can't see each other in real life. So we meet in real life, and he gives me this half track. It's been here ever since. Now he's become a really dear friend. I see him in real life. I'm friends with his family. Let's see here. His granddaughter and Jeremy, who may or may not be in tonight's chat. Sometimes he's in here, sometimes he's not. Are now married due to Jeremy being a viewer of the channel. Pillbox. See what I'm saying? Like, so when I say like to hang out with people in your own hometown, in your county, it doesn't have to be boring. It can be as boring as you want it to be, or it can be as fun as you want it to be. You can meet friends. Ask him, he'll tell you. He gave this to me in the parking lot at a 2A sanctuary county meeting in Howe, Michigan. You know what I'm saying? In Livingston County, which is the same county that Sheriff Murphy's the sheriff of, where you guys saw the video earlier tonight. So a lot of things kind of going full circle, and you guys can meet good friends doing this stuff. So if it sounds just like it's a bunch of work, nobody wants to be tasked with just a bunch of work. I get it, but it is a lot of work to try to save this country. But what's rewarding for you is you can sleep at night. You can also go to like fun events and hang out with like awesome people and meet really good friends too, right? Pillbox Bunker, Jane Locke, Drain the Swamp, who I've hung out with in real life, in Howell or Fowlerville, whatever event that was at when we met, and you gave me a coin that I cherish and I still have, so there you go. I hang out with you guys and see you guys in real life too. Dale, another Michigan man who was at my 2A EDU hangout a few months ago, and then again at a Christmas party recently, along with Jane Locke. See, I'm not trying to make you guys jealous. I'm saying talk to each other. Become friends with each other. Hang out with people in your county, in your state, in your hometown, and you'll have a good idea. You'll have a good time. You know what I mean? You'll know what's going on. So keep your head on a swivel. Get prepared, and I'm going to read all the chat throughout the weekend, and I don't know, maybe you guys want to see some content of like what's in my bag, what do I keep in my car, what do I keep in my truck, and I don't know. Sounds like fun stuff to talk about if there's any interest. You're good, Boom Boom. He said, I know you weren't bothered or upset. Just wanted to say it out loud. Cool, man. Well, thank you, and I appreciate it. All right, guys, it's late, and I will see you guys. There you are. I didn't think you were still in here, Rick. There's Rick. What's happening, man? I'm not going to forget you. I just thought there's no way this dude's still up with the day that you had today. I thought there was no way you'd still be awake. Dude, of course, Rick. Obviously, Rick. Let's see here. Rick, I met in Monroe County. Okay. Met Rick in Monroe County when we're working on the 2A sanctuary county movement there. Introduces me to Rob, a whole bunch of people. Now, I knew Livingston County because I've been doing landscaping there for a couple decades, but wouldn't know what half to 3/4 of the people I know if it wasn't for Rick. So I'm showing you guys literally in real life. This is how stuff works. These are all real people. I totally promise you I'm making like zero of this up. And like, we're know nothing landscapers. Let's see here. Electricians, veterans, police officers, like just regular. We're all just a bunch of nobodies, but yet actually like way more important than all the somebodies. So I encourage all of you guys to do your thing where you're at. And like Ricardo Patriot said, exactly. Network. I agree. No problem, Vince Metzger. Take it easy, man. Hi and bye, Glenn Robertson. I'm just getting ready to get off here right now. You have a great night, Patrick. Thanks for supporting the channel, man. I appreciate it. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the channel. There's Harry Gremley. What's happening, dude? Nice to see you. Smash the thumbs up before you leave. Yes. I always get a few thumbs downs when I pull that Bible up. So you guys can help me a little bit so we can get a few more thumbs ups. What's happening, Goon Beam? Shining a flashlight all the way to the moon. Good lighting's part of being prepared too. What's happening, Crazy Heathen? How you doing, man? Yes, everything's getting way more and more scary. What's up, Crazy Heathen? Are you still there, man? Did you see this kookery? I figured this might be up your alley. I know you've got nice guns. I've seen your guns before, but like, I don't know why. I just think of this when I think of Crazy Heathen. Like, this is like a tough, like, anybody ever met Crazy Heathen before in real life? Tell me if you've met Crazy Heathen in real life. He's active in the Second Amendment community in Michigan, guys, and within the militias of Michigan. But look, what do you think, Phil? Like, I think of this, and I'm like, dude, this just reminds me of Phil. Like, you might have one of these. This is a Nepalese from Nepal kookery knife. And Phil's like a really big dude, like big muscles, strong. You know what I'm saying? You'd have to be pretty strong to swing this thing. This knife weighs like at least 3 or 4 pounds. Yeah, I knew you'd like it, Phil. It just reminds me of you, like all of this does. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys, I'm out of here. I will see you guys soon, and I'll see you guys like literally real soon over on Locals tomorrow night, where I'll be doing another live stream, but it might be late because me and Rick are hanging out. If it gets really late, I'll make a post on Locals, and I promise I'll make it up to you guys Sunday, but we'll get an extra live stream in either way this weekend. But Rick and I are going to go hang out because we haven't hung out in a long time, and we might be out late tomorrow night. But if it gets too late, I'll let you know, and we'll catch up to you no matter what on Sunday if we can't do the local stream tomorrow night. So, yeah, we will talk about Blades more, actually, if you guys want to, because it looks like there's some interest in Blades. Here comes that song again. What's up, Paul Bennett? I'm not sure what song, but all right, guys, I'm out of here. Look at this guy. What's happening, Believe? Shout out to my trolls. Please, please stop talking and interrupting the speakers. What's this guy watching right now? I'm sitting here by myself. See, you can't make him all happy. He'll be back. He loves the channel more than anybody does. Look at this guy here. Shout out to Believe. Please stop talking. I'm speaking on my own channel right now. Oh, man. Come on, man. Look at this. You can't even make this stuff up. I think it's pretty funny. All right, guys. I'm out of here. I know you have, Jane. Thanks for watching, and have a good one. He's talking. He's interrupting his own show. Can you believe this? Oh, gotta love the internet. Oh, man.